Welcome to the endless night.
Welcome to Real American Monsters.
Hello, 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 my friends in Monster Land. Tuesday night, once again, on the Untold Radio's Network's Real American Monsters. And we're back at the helm. We're back in control for the next 90 minutes. And I'm back from Alabama. What a trip we had down there. Met a lot of great, great folks. I just want to say I truly, truly learned what Southern hospitality was. Greg House took us in for a couple of nights. Kumbo took us in. Mr. Mark Green took us in. And then at the end of the week, Mr. Flat Rock took us in. So thank you all, one and all. It was a great, great trip. I learned a lot. Beautiful place, beautiful areas, and beautiful people. So I just want to say, if you are all out there listening tonight, thank you one and all for the great time that we shared down there. I will be doing a little documentary on it. We filmed the whole time, and we had some cool stuff happen. So I'm very excited for that. Tonight, we have a very special guest with us tonight from the Jicarilla Apache Nation, Mr. Hoyt Valarde. Our friend Boyd Omer hooked us up with Hoyt. And Hoyt is a wealth of knowledge. He knows a lot of people in the Bigfoot scene, and he's been around a little bit, and he knows his stuff. So we are very excited to have him here with us tonight. I cannot wait to hear more. I just got a chance to talk to him a little bit backstage, and he'll be out here soon. So good evening, everyone. Oh, Mr. Wendell Bigfoot. It was a pleasure meeting you, Wendell, down in Alabama. Mr. Thomas Waters is with us. Good evening, Mr. Thomas. Good evening, Donna Spencer. Miss Diane Fowler is one of our wrenches. She'll bounce you out if you cause any trouble. Good evening, Diane. Miss Robin Lynn Griffin. Good evening. Good evening. People are pouring in for the show. It's good to see everybody. This is going to be one. Good evening, Blue Eyed Northern. Pat was down with us too. Another great person. We got to finally meet her too. So it was a great trip, and I'm glad that I did it. Oh, Mr. Patrick Nobel, another one that was on the trip. He was a really super guy too. He's coming in. So again, thank you one and all that contributed to everything down there. Mrs. Pat's cooking was really, really, really good, and we had good times down there. So, but it was hot. It was like 95 degrees and 100% humidity. So that's all I got to say. Christy, yeah, I heard Wendell. Yeah, I heard, from Mark. Yep, what happened. So, and Mr. Verax is with us. So without further ado, we got a lot to get to tonight. We got a very special guest. He doesn't do too many interviews, and tonight we got him here in the studio. Please help me welcome everybody, Mr. Hoyt Valarde. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm very excited. You were supposed to be on the show a few months back, but things happened and couldn't do it, and now you're back in action, and we're very happy to see you here and smiling in your smiling face. So thank you. So
well, things do,
go ahead, Roy.
things do happen,
Yes, sir.
beyond your control.
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. So before we get started, you want to just give everybody just like a little small bio on yourself and tell everybody how you got introduced and how you got hooked on investigating the Sasquatch phenomena.
Well, my career as a police officer, we investigate everything. And as I moved through the ranks, you sort of start picking up everything: Squatch, UFOs, paranormal, everything else comes as you see it. You see it first. And after I got out from law enforcement, 35 years there, I stuck with looking for Squatch. Although I spent many years looking at UFO side. There's a good friend of mine, Gabe Valdez, and myself. Gabe Valdez, a state police officer in New Mexico. We investigated a lot of cases here. We've seen a lot of strange stuff in the air, and it would be the same thing on the ground also. We'll be out. There's nothing to do when you're squatching. Everybody knows that. You're relying on your senses. You're listening, you're smelling, and you're looking. You're not seeing anything. So what do? You lay back and look up in the sky. And believe it or not, things start moving up there too. So now that's how I got interested in both areas. And then being a indigenous person from this area, you also see things directly that deals with the paranormal. And I've been doing that since the early 70s, from my first sightings when I was about 6, 7 years old. Up until now, I have many sightings. And I really didn't go after them. You try different ideas. You get a group of people together and you go out in the woods and you look around. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to see anything. You're not going to hear anything. So you keep trying. Then there's that one night that you're going to run into everything right from the road into where you're sitting out in the middle of nowhere. They're there. And okay, one of the major things there is what I've always looked for is I want to see with my own eyes. Not that I look with anybody else's eyes, but I look with mine. And that's how I said, hey, after seeing this, you will believe. And it doesn't matter if you never see one, but you got to try. You got to be out there. Next question.
So what was that first experience that got you interested in investigating stuff? Because what was that initial grab there? How'd that go down?
That the initial grab was almost about 6 or 7 years old. We used to live at the ranch, and everybody eats at the table back in them days. And my mother tells me, call everybody in. It's time for dinner. I'm a little guy playing right there. I run out of the house, run out to where my dad was. He was in the shop, and he always works in there. My brothers were sitting at the windmill. They were doing something over there. I sort of knew where everybody was at, so I'm running towards the shop. And all of a sudden, I see this thing standing there next to the chicken house, big, and it was hairy all over, black, sort of brown. Didn't know what it was. I know what a bear looks like, but this thing, it wasn't a bear. It wasn't anything. It was standing there, never saw me. I turned around and ran back to the house until by the time I was there, I was screaming and yelling. And my oldest brother was inside the house. So my mother told him, go call everybody, something happened to this guy. And eventually, you're there. You're there. You go back out there and start looking. I told him, it's right here. I explained, nobody would listen to me either. I was a little guy, so nobody listened to me. But I finally got my brother to listen, my oldest brother. I said, he was standing right here. He was looking into the chicken house. And after that, you sort of forget it, 7 years old, you go on. And then through the years, you start learning about all kinds of things. Find out what a squatch is. One day I was looking at some pictures and I said, right there, that's what I saw. when I was a kid, I saw that. I know what it looks like. There, you've been introduced. You start looking for it. You start looking for it. How am I going to find it again? Where do I look? How many are there? Is it dangerous? Does it eat people? One of the things is, I said to myself, well, this thing eats chickens. It probably eats meat. I'm not going to hang around there. So you start deducting things and start looking at, go to the library, start looking for these things, but you won't find these things in the library either. You just got to talk to other people, and pretty soon things sort of open up to you. And then that's how I got started, finally learned what it was and see it all. And I've seen glimpses of it after that. See a glimpse, see legs underneath the tree. From the branches, you can't see the bodies, but you see the leg, that type of thing. Then it moves behind the tree and he's gone. Little glimpses like that for years until I believe it was 2004 when I was checking fences at our ranch. We have an 8-foot fence, electric fence. We got to check every day or every other day. I'm out on my 4-wheeler checking the fence. I run alongside the fence and look at it. There's one little tree. Its branches would touch the wires, so you sort of nip at it and break it off. I was going to go over there and check that tree because we all knew which tree it was. It shorts it out. So I go over there, and all of a sudden I walk right next to the fence. Of course, I shut the fence off first, and I walk through there, and I see this thing standing there with his hand touching the fence, the wire. Is testing the wire. Well, I sort of figured it out what it was doing. Is testing the wire to see if it was hot. And by that time, we eyeballed each other, I'd say about 12 feet. We eyeballed each other, and I fell to the ground, just lost all control. I just couldn't stand up anymore. I just fell down. I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell. I couldn't do anything. There's that much fear in me. And I was laying sideways, and I watched this thing go through the fence just like a human would and walk away real fast. And I know it was a female because it had necessary parts on the chest. And, that's how I said it's a female, because I've seen another one later on at a different time, and that one had a flat chest, and that was a male. You can see the difference real easy. But this thing just walked away, walked up in a hill. I finally got up, fell, crawled back to my 4-wheeler and back to the barn with that 4-wheeler. That was it.
With Hoyt, with all your experiences, and now you said this was a female that you had this up close encounter with, and she just walked away. Do you think it would have been different if it was a big alpha male? Say this was a big alpha male that you experienced 12 feet away. Do you think the outcome would have been different at all, or do you think it would have went the same way? I mean, it's hard to tell. But, you kind of get a feel for it over the years. What do you think?
The facial features right there. The facial feature of the female was sort of surprise. It was surprised to see me, as I was surprised, and it sort of stood there. After looking at me right in the face, it looked all the way down to my feet, looked back up. And by that time, I just fell. And a male at a different time looked at me and had this made a facial feature that if you want to scare somebody, you go boo. You make facial features. Well, this thing looked at me, and it had a face you just don't forget. It's all wrinkly, and his that eye contact, and sort of leans into you, check you out. There again, about 20 feet away, and it just ran away. That one just actually basically ran into the brush, and there again, I was almost on my knees shaking. This thing, there's fear. There's a lot of fear involved when you see this. It's not just a matter of somebody saying boo, sneaking up on you, scared. This is fear, all the way to terror. And then you start backing off of that. I was with another gentleman who we came upon a pretty good sized male. It just stood up behind a brush and turned and took off. We turned and took off in the opposite directions, ran about 300 yards, and stopped. And we looked at each other and says, "We got guns, But after a while, you say, "Hey, the size of that thing and this little 9mm I got is not going to work."
Right.
That type of situation was the outcome was mostly just like a threat, but there was no noise, just like a facial feature. Then it was gone.
They want to control it. They want to control the situation. They want to let you know who's boss. I think that's
yeah. And me showing fear, I showed him who his boss was. He was.
I think most people would do that. I don't think there's a person alive that would come 12 feet, 20 feet in front of a 8-foot male of one of these things looking at you and you don't have any fear running through you. I don't believe that you couldn't. That's just my opinion, but you hear so often, Hoyt, about having, like, you had your first experience when you were very young, and then as you grow, you have more and more experiences, and and they say that you can't have a lot of interactions with these guys over the thing, but you hear often that the people that have early interactions with them have a lifetime full of interactions with the Sasquatch. Well, why do you think that is? Why do you think if that initial visit by them, why do you think for the rest of your days that you're able to come in contact with them? Because they're so elusive and they're so hard to come by, but obviously there are certain folks out there that can have these interactions. Why do you think that is?
Well, one of the main things is the calving area. Calving area meaning where they give birth. If that's in that area and you're there every day, you're just a rancher, you're working right there. They see you every day, and like I said, you don't harm them, but they watch you. They keep an eye on you all day long. And then you leave. You come back the next day, and everybody has that feeling, I'm being watched. But you yourself at that point say, "Yeah, I know what it is. He's watching me again." But I ain't gonna bother him. I got to fix the fence right here, where I've got to, I got to do this. I got to drag the field. Those type of things come first, rather than that thing. He's there, but I think it has to do with the calving area, where these things are give birth, because the place that I take a lot of the people that come out here is to that one area, but we don't go down in there at night or anything. We listen from the top of the ridges, because there's a lot of them in there. It's not just one. People think one walks around for 30 miles and comes back. No, there's a bunch in there, just like elk. You see one, you're going to see another one. And they sort of hang right there during the night. Well, let me ask you this. Have you seen a cow babysit?
A cow baby? No, I've never seen a cow babysit before.
Well, next time you're driving out there, like I said, you got to look for the behavior. the behavior of the cow, you're going to see one cow laying right there in the neighborhood, and you're going to see a bunch of little calves laying right there, right near the vicinity of that one cow. That's a babysitter. The mamas are down the, quarter mile, a mile away eating, drinking water and everything. They come back. These things do the same thing. And that's where we find those little structures in the woods. They put them in there and they stay there. It's not a big walled-in thing that looks like a jail or anything else. It's just some sticks thrown together and whatnot, and they're left there. And the sitter is right in the vicinity, so that thing would just stay right there and sleep there. And they build another one the next day if they need it, or go back to the same one, or go to a real thick brush area, and that's where they're at. Next time you're driving down the highway, someplace where there's a marshy area, there's going to be a bunch of reeds in one area. It looks like that's all there is, thick. I would venture in there and have a look. You can probably smell one where you can get evidence as one's been there. But because nobody does it, well, they look over there, they say, well, it's too marshy, it's too wet. That's where they stay. That's where they're at. That's where these little ones stay, and the big ones go eat, and they eat a lot of grass. So I've seen them stack rocks, and I've seen people. I've seen a couple of books. Somebody says, well, this is a signal, or they got all kinds of theories on it. But it was muddy when we saw this. We're trying to get out of the mountains, trying to get back to the road because it's raining. The roads are going to be bad for us to get out in the truck. And all of a sudden you realize you see these little tiny stacks of rocks. So what's going on here? Something's wrong. You start looking around. So you approach it, look, you find little tiny tracks. Baby Bigfoot tracks. Running around, they're playing. They pick up rocks, stack them on top of each other. They go to the next one, make another one. And then it hits you. You got to think, okay, this is a little one. It's like a bear, where if there's a cub there, you better look out for mama. She's probably in the vicinity, tear you a new one. So I started looking for that. I said, there's got to be a place where the mama was laying. We look around, and sure enough, there it was under a tree. There's a bunch of brush there. I was looking from right there, watching the little ones stacking rocks. So you exit there immediately, trying to, get back to civilization without getting stuck.
Right.
Those type of things that you notice.
Why do you think you're able to see the Sasquatch all the time? Why are you able to interact with them? Is it because you know how to follow them, you know how to track them, you know how there is, or do you think they have accepted you in the area and they know you by watching? Like you said, they watch you. Do you think they know who you are?
I think they know who I am. They probably they know I'm harmless. I mean, you're going to do this, you're going to be there. And the other thing too is their behavior. Animals run to human habitat for safety. These things do the same thing. We have cattle out there. We watch. All of a sudden, the cows just come running out of the canyon real fast and run right up to the ranch house. They're standing outside, and they lay down right there. And the cows came home, and they're laying outside. That's what we see. But why did they do that? Something was chasing them. They ran to human for safety. And they lay there, and pretty soon they get up, start wandering around, and they wander off again. The same thing. So if they see me around there at the ranch house, and I'm there working all the time, they see me. That's a place of safety. So they can hang out there. Nobody's going to bother them. That's why somebody else drives up, bingo, they disappear. They don't run, for miles. They'll run up there where they can lay down and not be seen. And if you look at it from that point of view, rather than, this thing being such wild that they run off, so no, they're there for safety reasons.
Well, why do you think that? Why do you think they hide from others? Like they know you're sitting there, and then someone that they don't know just walks up and starts talking to you. Why do you think they're hiding from that person? Why? What do you think that is?
Well, they don't know their behavior. They don't know their behavior. They don't see them every day. If you don't see them every day, you don't know them, you hide from them. Even a vehicle, a lot of times those vehicles just drive by. It's a public road, so they drive by, and even turkeys. There's a lot of turkeys out there. At this last camp we had out there, there was over 100 head of turkeys right next to the camp. But they don't recognize these people, so they hide. They go by. They come back out. Turkeys do the same thing. They run into the brush, then they come back out and start plucking out there in the field again. And you notice that behavior, just like the calves, the cows, they do it. Horses do it. Horses do the same thing. Now, horses run. If something's after them, a bear would go after them. Mountain lions would go after them. They'll run and they'll make a lot of noise. And they'll run. Sometimes early in the mornings, you see these things standing next to the ranch house for safety. And then they eventually walk off again.
Do you ever realize that you have livestock missing? Were they taking any of the livestock at this area, or were you allowing them to take livestock to keep peace, or was anything like that going on?
No, we don't miss, herds and herds of cows. No, we don't. If we do, it's probably to a bear or a mountain lion. But you can tell from the kill, if it's a bear, they'll eat certain parts. Mountain lions eat some too, and then they'll move and try to get it up a tree. But these things, when they come out there, they don't do that. They come after smaller animals like sheep, goats. Those type of things are a lot easier to catch and the other thing too is they're nocturnal. They eat certain parts of the animal so that they can feed that eyesight. And for those small little pieces inside, a sheep would be ripped open completely. And how do you, us as humans, how do we get inside the sheep? We got one down. Okay, now what? We want to get the heart out. We want to get the liver. We want to get something out like that. How do we do it? We have to get a knife. We have to get a tool to do it. A Squatch, what does he do? He rips it apart. He rips the animal apart and find those little things, eat it, and be gone. Coyotes come along, they eat it. But you can tell because the arm would be ripped out. Not necessarily the arms, because the arm, if you rip out the arm, there's still a rib cavity there, so they rip the legs out, and then they reach inside and grab the guts and pull it out. Might be sort of not too G there, but that's what I've seen.
Yeah, not too PG. That's funny. Do you think they're a threat to us? Do you think that they wouldn't hesitate to rip us apart? I mean, at a moment's notice, or do you think that that's just not in their wheelhouse?
Well, I've tested that. We've seen them out there, and you see one, and there's a bunch of tall timber, and a lot of times you can see underneath the tall timber, and we say, okay, keep an eye out for a tree with arms, and sometimes you see a tree with arms. He's hiding his head and part of his body, and his arms are sticking out on both sides of the tree. So that's a tree with arms. We find that, and he's looking, watching us. And you ever seen a baby, a human baby, as you play with it? You sort of put your hands in front of your eyes. Boo.
Yep. Yeah, the peekaboo.
Boo. They do the same thing. They stick their heads behind a tree and they go back this way. And the other side, they're doing that. Okay, what do we want to check? Can he attack us? Can he take one of us? Can he take all of us? So we get a few guys together who can run, and we just get together. We get up. We start walking towards it. We know where he's at. You're watching him, and you take a run at him. That doesn't happen. I don't think it's ever happened to them. They see a bunch of these humans running at you, you're going to get out and run no matter who saw what. And that at least 3 times that I've seen that, they take off. They don't stick around there. And then they make noises from a mile away or something. Start making noise. And at which point you sort of prove a point to yourself. He's not really a danger to us. I don't think he's going to do anything. And they, like I said, they're very curious. They come right up to cars parked at a camp and just run their hands over it. Why? Because it's nice and smooth. They just touch it. And I don't understand why, but I've seen it so many times. So, to say that that's a threat or whatever, instead of you laying in a tent over there in a sleeping bag, they go to your car and just rub their hands on it.
Right.
And a lot of times people don't even know it happened.
Yeah, we might have had that happen in Alabama this past week up at Creepy Mountain. There was handprints left on the car. It was pretty cool. And like a nose print on the mirror on his window.
Yeah.
Perfect nose print with like his cheek on. It was pretty cool. So why do you think that is?
Yeah,
It amazes me that people are there's a lot of people that fear them and say that they're bloodthirsty animals and creatures and they're going to come and they're going to kill us. And I've just never run into that the years that I've been doing it. And obviously you just said that you guys have run at them and they take off. I just don't well, why do you think that is? Why do you think do they just don't want to do it? It's not in their nature, or they just want to stay hidden?
That's probably correct. It's not in their nature to do that. For one thing, when they're eating, they're usually laying in the grass. They're eating there, and there's a deer 10 feet away, and he's just laying there. You can see the tracks. There's a squatch nest, deer tracks at the same time, and he grabbed a handful of grass and eat that. And the behavior there is, it's like a common thread there that they just don't grab one, as often as necessary. They will probably do it, but not every day. When there's plenty of feed available, and then even today, everything's dried up, but there's plenty of feed out there yet. So watching there again, the behavior of cows. Uh, a cow, a full-grown cow, with a calf, will defend its calf. When a lot of times they just turn around and sort of bluff you a little bit, and then they run off. The same thing here. They just bluff and run, and they just hide. And to find that out, probably have to sacrifice somebody. But we took a chance, and nothing happened. Just just to make sure it can be done. And then the bull on the other side, a bull cow, they do the same thing. They're sort of apprehensive when they come near you, and they sort of make a threat. They're really not a threat, but oh well, here they throw up dirt with their hoof.
Mm-hmm.
You see that? Yeah, they're warning you to stay away. But that's a bull, then he walks away. It's not in their nature to attack. The Mexican fighting bull, on the other hand, is totally different. He'll get you. That's what they're trained to do. These things, when you look at them, it's nice to look. And a lot of times they say, "Well, let's go up there and see what it was." They say, "Yeah, it's a squatch." And they want to go up there. Well, we'll see tracks. I said, "You probably can find tracks." And what I'm doing out there, I don't follow these things as a tracker would. They follow them, and pretty soon they walk in a circle, and the thing's watching them from behind them. Which what we do is we go out and look for evidence on the ground in the direction he came from. In other words, you go back the other way rather than following him. Go back the other way, look for evidence. You're going to find out where he ate, what he ate, what rock he turned over, why he turned over those rocks. There's lots of ants out there. He's eating ants. He's eating little bugs and everything else. He's walking along. And this is where you find your saliva. Saliva drops on the ground, and you can see on the ground where it's at, on the rock. And that's by just going the opposite direction. And I've seen them where they come out of the water. I don't know what it'd be doing in the water, but other than I'd have to put my human behavior on it and say he was taking a bath, but maybe he was out there trying to catch a fish. I don't know, but why was he in the water? He walk into the water, probably just to cool off. There's times I go out there, it's so dang hot, I go to a water trough and get all wet. This thing probably does the same thing, and watching that behavior pattern rather than trying to chase him down and everything else. And I've had younger people tell me, "Yeah, we chased the squatch. He ran this way, he went that way." Then you find out, say, "Hey, when's the last time you take a drink? Oh, you want a beer?" That's the behavior you see out there too. They people claim to chase them and whatnot when they usually don't. But a lot of them that I see, I don't go up there to if you see a Squatch, you saw a Squatch. He's going to have tracks. And if he leaves some dung behind for you, whew, you know real quick.
How
You
big is
see,
how big is the Jicarilla Nation? How big is the territory there? How large is it?
about 30 miles by 73.
Now, are there different clans there? Are there do they battle for areas like you said? Like there, water must be. You know, you're in New Mexico. Water must be very important to them. Is there like battles between areas between clans? Or are they all one big unit? How do they live on the territory?
It seems like everybody's does their own thing. They come together for protection. You know, just like staying warm, for instance. And there's plenty of water out here. You won't believe it, but there's a lot of water. We go up in the mountains up there. We can sit up there and glass the areas and from Stone Lake, which if anybody goes out there, you're going to see that there's at least a dozen ponds in that one valley. And that's just one valley. You go to the next one, there's more ponds, windmills, water ponds. Like us, we make earth dams to water our cattle. And like right now, they're filled back up. It's full of water again, and you just go down the highway, you can see it. So, but they sort of roam around in the area looking for food. I used to go out there to those ponds and ride my four-wheeler and go around it and look at it, see if there's any tracks. And I did find tracks where they went out there and drink some water. And they head back up into the hill again.
So you've investigated hundreds of cases on the Sasquatch, hundreds of reports. You have to have one that sticks out the most. You got to have one that you like to talk about, the one that's very interesting, and one that would make folks aware that these are 100% real, no doubt. Could you share that with everybody?
Yes, I got one. My niece was out there in the highways, and we know where the phone goes dead. If you go out so far, your phone goes dead right here, so you better call somebody, let somebody know where you're at. Well, she stopped at that one spot, and all of a sudden, there's a big chunk of snow that fell on the rear window of the car. Immediately, say, what the heck is going on? They jump out and they hear the fence. The fence is not too far away. It's the wintertime. And it went that way. It's a situation. I finally go out there, look at it, and I find 3 sets of tracks going in the same direction towards the calving area. And there was one juvenile track that sort of stayed, pretty close behind him. Well, not behind him, but along the side. He walks around. The 3 of them are walking. And the one in the center had a strange walk, like if he was injured. I could not figure that out. Why is this one walking like that and sort of sliding its feet? So put your finger out like that and then walk it. Whereas a normal, it's like that. The one in the center was walking like this. Can you tell me why?
I have no idea. An injury to the inner thigh, maybe.
Pretty close.
Safe. I don't know.
Well, if you follow it, now you got to go back and look at the human behavior. look at the human behavior, and if you see a woman in labor, is she going to walk? How is she going to walk? She's going to slide her feet, sort of spread her legs like that, trying to walk,
Yep. Yep.
or are they walking like this? So two of them on each side walking like that. The one was doing that. So, I finally figured it out. And so I'm sitting at home trying to figure it out. Why was he walking like that? Why? And you go back out there and say, hey, there it is in the snow, still walking like that. But then the snow gets too deep going towards the mountain, and you got to turn back, and that thing keeps going. He went up on a mountain. He says, hey, and it's going towards the calving area. That means it's going to have a calf. It's going to have a little one, and the other two were helping it along to get up there. That sort of sticks out for me. That it took me quite a while to figure out why it was doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, right there, Hoyt. Not many people, I didn't sure as heck wouldn't figure that out. But it makes 100%, 100% sense to me, and hopefully to everybody else. That why do you think the snow on the back of the car, though? Why do you think they did something to the car? Well, what was that? Just
Yeah, I think well, I think it's the juvenile that did that. Just throwing snow because the others were going through the fence already and was already about maybe 40, 50 yards from the road. And the other one was still back and got some snow and threw it on the car. And she didn't see anything. Looked, it flashed around, nothing. But just the snow was messed up right here, and they came up on the highway right here. They crossed it, went through here. And once I got that information, I followed it up. When I followed it up, it perplexed me for quite a while, trying to figure out what's going on. And then walking in that deep snow, something else too. When you get up to your waist and trying to go further, and this thing's still going,
Right.
you got to turn back and just say, "Hey, that's it for today.
Did you
Maybe I'll
know?
get a snowmobile come around." What's that?
No, I'll let go. You can finish on the snowmobile. I just got a question. I just
Okay,
wanted.
I
Go ahead.
figured I'd get a snowmobile and go around the other side the next day, find out what's going on. So you take that information home and think about it, and then it hits you. It's gonna have a calf, and then it went up towards the calving area. This calving area, it's not just one little corner of a canyon. It's a canyon that's 5-6 miles long, and then it's pretty wide. So no traffic in there. There's no roads in there. Maybe one road, but if you're gonna go in there, you basically have to walk in there, ride a horse in there.
Is there a
So,
specific time of year that they use it, or is it just random?
probably during the springtime when the snow melts, the snow starts to take off.
Right. Is it a protected area? Do they have watchers? Do you notice watchers on the at the beginning of the mountain,
No,
anything like that?
no, uh-uh. You can't even see it. It's well, you get off the road up there, you're not gonna walk that far. You can go up there with a snowmobile, but the snow's pretty deep back up in that area, so they just back off. People don't go up there. Not for anything, but it's cold too.
Right.
Get a vehicle stuck up there, it's going to be there for a while.
A friend of mine just asked, do you ever do they drum on anything? Do you ever hear drumming or any kind of mute, like not a regular wood knock, like on a hollow logs or anything like that around the area?
No, not that I know of. Or uh, around here in Dulce area where I live, uh, we hear a screech type yell, or a a real high pitch scream, and it's over. Then the dogs start barking. So if you're familiar with these things and you know where it came from, it's off to the west. It's off on the South Mesa, or that type of thing. It goes on, and then people's trash cans get rolled over, and I used to go check those. Realize that, hey, a lot of these tracks are not bear tracks, but they already made up. People already made up their mind. It's a bear, it's a bear.
Right.
So I said, well, we're not going outside. But then you turn around and tell them, oh, it's a squatch, and like, what is a squatch?
How many reports do you get a year, Hoyt, from the area?
Ooh, man, I don't know, 30, 40. This year, that one guy, he lives right under he sort of lives away from the big mountain, and there's a small hill he lives. And the thing comes there for no apparent reason, but he used to sell like a small business there. He used to cook burgers and things like that, and they're attracted to that too, so they come out and look. The place still, probably smells like that. And I think about a month when I was pretty sick, he called me and says, "Hey, there's." So I sort of gave him some directions as to what he should do, and we followed those tracks several times. They go right back into the community, go on the backside of a housing area, and walk around. And they walk back out of town. But if you listen for it at night, you hear them. You hear what's going on out there, and that's in Dulce. You don't have to go anything special. You don't have to go out to my ranch or do anything. And that's what people think around here is, oh, let's go look for a squatch over at Hoyt's place. Hey, they're not going to be there. If you're going to just run upon one, you got to put a lot of miles on.
Right.
Because these things, like I said, they'll hide from you. A car coming, they hide.
No. What I
see me walking around. What's that?
No, go ahead, Hoyt. Go. I'm sorry.
If you see me walking around out there every day, and then they get this, oh, that's Hoyt. He's harmless. You don't do nothing. That type of situation is going on here with me, and in order to see those things, like I say, is you got to be out there. You just got to be out there to look every day. And I walk alongside a river. We take pictures. Come back and look at it later on. There's one right there. He's laying right there next to the water. And you can't. When you see an arm sticking into the water, and he's laying in a brush, I mean, there's a squatch there. And you walk right by him.
Never seen him.
Never seen him. People do that every day.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'd like to share another one with you that is in the city of Farmington. City of Farmington is a pretty good sized town, pretty good sized city. If these guys were walking along the river, there's like a river walk, they call it. It's got a sidewalk where people ride bicycles in there and they hike in there. Something walked across the road. Somebody noticed because it's wet. Something was dragged across the road is the information I got. We look for it. We found the tracks. We found where they crossed the road, and said, "Hey, this is a squatch." Almost instantly, And you just follow it through the brush and follow it through the brush, follow it through. I'd say it was about 2-3 hours ahead of us. But just to see where he went, and the place called Berg Park, we followed it for about 1.5 miles to Red Lobster. Red Lobster used to have a garbage can right next to the cliff or the river. The thing would just come up from the river, go up there, go through the garbage, and slide right back down to the river and be gone. And I mean, what can you say? It's there.
Right.
And when we go in there, we asked the proprietor and asked him, "Do you guys have a squatch on security?" No, we never did. We don't have anything like that. So, man, you got to have seen this one. But they just won't admit it. It's
Right.
there in a city, behind Red Lobster, and people eat there. And they don't want that information getting out, so you walk away.
Right. Right. What I find fascinating, and I've never heard this before until tonight, that you say they have a human side and then they have an animal side. How did you come to the realization on that? How did you come when they switch it on and when they switch it off? I mean, I find that very, very interesting. How did you come upon that?
I guess years back, we used to go after him. Well, he walked this way and he ran down the hill that way. He climbed over the rock here, and we follow him. You follow him, and knowing the terrain yourself, he'll take you for a walk. Take you for a walk, and then, like underneath a cliff or something that on a hillside that's steep, he'll take you under there, and he'll take you up on the side of the mountain, and he's sitting up there the whole time watching you walk down there. And you finally get up there and he's easy to track. His tracks here, tracks, then tracks are gone. Bingo. No tracks. Okay. And then I mentioned tracking sticks. You got to know how to use a tracking stick in order to find him. And you just get your pocket knife out and do some quick carving on a stick, and you can find him. Just see where he went. He did not come to a dead stop. And that's where he's using his animal instinct rather than his human instinct. So he'll lose you like that real fast. And it's happened more than once. It happens over and over and over. And you know the terrain. You know where he's going to take you. It's probably the same one you're thinking because they've been this way before. And where he goes into the animal mode is, he'll just become one of them as being real quiet and just staying still, not moving. And he knows you're in the area and you're watching. And he'll just get into that real thick stuff and you can walk right by him. I did. I'd say about 10 feet from the path, and he was laying right there. And I couldn't find him. I could not find him up ahead. My tracking stick and everything else, and I lost him somewhere. I can't find him. Called my buddies, and we started looking again. And he said, "Let's go back and try it again and follow him back in. Here's the last track. Okay, we put a ribbon there and start looking from there. And we call it going native. He went native on us right here because he hid from us, and we walked right by him. And then he sort of tiptoed out of there, being very careful. He's just like a human being. you'll walk very careful so you'll not make any tracks. But if you got your tracking sticks and know the terrain, you can find him. And
The
that's
ultimate woodsman.
it takes a little bit of practice.
Right, yeah. I'd say years of practice for sure. What if they used them both at the same time, Hoyt? What if they took the animal and the human and used it at the same time? What do you think their behavior pattern would be then? What if at the
I don't know, not at the same time, but a lot of times it's a survival, the survival mode. The survival mode and the animal side, you eat a lot of things out in the forest, whereas a human won't. You know, there's berries out there, there's different types of plants, grass, a lot of grass and the different types of grasses. You'd be doing that as an animal mode. But when he goes human mode on the other side, when they're looking out for you, they studied you as when you come home. If you're living out there in the woods, a lot of these people that we visit live alongside the river, and they're there watching, and they know when they come home. They come home, okay, I'm in my human mode, I'm watching, and that human went into the house and brought out some food and put it down for the dogs, and that person went back into the house, attack, run over there. The dogs would just run off. You steal the food and eat the food and then get back and hide again. And pretty soon the human who does that will find out, you guys are starving, you ate a whole bag of food here. So where's it going? I don't see uh, the meat on your bones anymore.
right.
They start reasoning things out when this thing's already got it figured out. Because they come home, they feed their dogs, and they run over there in broad daylight. And they get back under cover, and they're laying there eating dog food, cat food, those type of things. They already know. Studying the human, they already know that they get fed, so that they steal it, and those dogs just run off. And they won't come back for a little while.
How about speaking of
And
dogs? Have there ever been dogmen seen on the reservation? Have you ever had reports of the dogmen being around?
well, a lot of the reports that I get are Squatch. They say, well, the Squatch who is standing over there, it walked across here, it did this, it did that. And you go over there and look at it, and the tracks don't match. It's got fingernails. And you reason it out real quick. It's that fast that you can tell that it's a dog man. And like I said, I walk away from that. I just leave that alone, beyond me. But if it's a Squatch, a lot of times, dog man would, cross tracks with a Squatch, and I mean literally walk. No confrontation or anything, but one would walk behind the other, going in a different direction. Those type of things. And you just realize that, hey, there's a dogman here. And the people that have seen this have drawn it for me on a sheet of paper. They say it looks like this. They tell you what it looks like, and the sounds they make is almost like a squatch. They scream, but that long, deep, throaty yells they don't do, but it's like a coyote screaming. And that's the other thing. Coyotes follow squatches, because you go out there and make a do a knock. Just do a knock just to see if you can get some attention. And a lot of times the coyotes would respond. The coyotes respond to the knock. They've got to be following a squatch.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think they're scraps, or what are they're left behind, or they feel safer around?
Well, a lot of times it's some scrap, not a whole lot of scrap. Like I said, they don't go around killing a bunch of animals and everything else. But the coyotes do. They go out and they run down things. Squats would come by, see the situation. They look it over, I guess. But you see the tracks of the coyote and you see the tracks of the squatch in the same scene. And what they have in common, I really don't know as to why that happens. But like I said, more than once, at least 5 or 6 times that I've seen that. The tracks are together, but and then there's a dead fawn, a deer fawn, was pretty well eaten up. But it's probably a coyote kill.
Mm-hmm.
But there's things like that I really can't put my hands on yet.
There's so much I've learned tonight. It's pretty incredible. I haven't heard of most of this stuff, and the tracking part. I've here because of the different angles we have. I use the snap sticks. That's what I use, the snap trees, to track them here. The substrate here is so hard. It's hard to find a print here. You can't really follow. Not even we don't have a lot of moss or anything or impressions. So you have to find a different way. Do they leave any of those signs out there, like with the sticks and stuff like that, like certain directions? Any of that go on out there?
You can find a print. You can do a rocks tracking stick. You can track them over rock. You can track a human over rock, solid rock. And you have 2 or 3 guys doing that, you can pick up the track again real quick.
I'm gonna have to come visit to learn how to do that.
Well, it's simple. It's simple, but a lot of times you need a wide area to be checked. And if he's going downhill, you have a pretty good idea which way he's going to go, where there's cover and whatnot, where there's grass, feed, possibly water. You look at those things rather than the print itself, and then you get somebody with a tracking stick, and more than likely they're going to come upon it. There's hair. They do leave a lot of hair on the brush. And when they walk through the brush, there's hair either laying on the ground or directly onto the plant.
We're getting close to the end of the show here, folks. We got about 15 minutes left. So if you got any questions for Hoyt, please put them in all capital letters. I want to say thank you so much for stopping in tonight, Hoyt. I've learned a ton of stuff, and Boyd was right. You were a super guy, and we would learn a lot. So I wanted to say thank you. And so everybody, capital letters, if you got any questions for Hoyt. What's coming up this year, Hoyt? Do you still having your outing at your place, or how did that go this year?
Yes, we have an outing, camp. We go out there, activities at night. We go out. We're probably the only organization. Well, it's not an organization. Our family. We feed our people that come in, and we feed them the good old bocce stew and fried bread. And they sit together, we talk, and then when it gets dark is when we do different activities. We have a ladies' night. We do a lot of walking at night, listening. What we haven't been able to do is get a spike camp. What we'd like to do is get a spike camp and set them up on a mountain and have them listen. And my idea, I say, hey, I'm not going to abandon them up there. They need to get into something in case they get scared or whatever, that they can get into a vehicle and lock the vehicles and get in there and start it up and make noise.
Right.
So that they'll be in the proximity of their vehicles, within a short distance, maybe 20 yards or so, you can jump into your vehicle. But otherwise, you'd be sitting outside listening. And we haven't been able to do that because there's a couple of places we can't get to. We tried it again this year, and all we could do was look at it and say, man, that is bad.
Well,
The
hopefully,
boy's been walked up that area.
yeah, no, he's told me about that area, and I'm very excited because I've been invited to go out there next year. So I'm super excited to come see the area, and I want to see the petroglyphs too, because there's petroglyphs on the reservation too. Correct?
Yes, there's a lot, but we went to the ones that I know that has got pictures of large footprints on them.
Yeah.
And I talked to, was it an archaeologist that he looked at one area and he says, oh, I know what this is. He says, these things, and there was 4 figures, I believe, that was on there. He said, these are squatches right here. They came from the north over the snow-capped mountains. And here's the snow-capped mountains. Here's the river. They crossed these things here and they showed up here. And, that type of thing, I didn't know it either until you start talking to these people. They can decipher information for you. And I know the story on that one, so I take people over there and look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, Boyd showed me the pictures. I forgot I had them until you just mentioned them. I should have loaded them up. But we got a question for you. Patrick Nobel asks, do you think they're flesh and blood?
I believe so, yes. They are flesh and blood. Their hands get cracked and they touch trees and there's blood. Their feet get cracked and they do the same thing. Walk on rock, running through the trees, and there's a little blood splatter. Those are some of the things I said, but it's blood splatter, you send it to somebody, it's contaminated.
Right. Patrick
But,
also, oops, go ahead. If you got more, go ahead. Sorry.
the as far as having, if you were not real, your toe won't break. You're not going to have a broken toe. You got to have you got to have injury out there. These things are big. They break a toe. It's pointed in a different direction. Those type of things. They're most of the time it's a little finger, and I can understand why. Walking around out there's times I had to go out there using posts, walking posts, and you make a slip and you fall down and you hit your knuckles on the foot on the ground pretty hard, and then you see like next to the water in the mud, you see these handprints, and one finger's off. It's in a different direction. Is that, if it wasn't real, if it wasn't flesh and blood, would that finger or toe be broken? And it's just a matter of which ones you find. There's some that's got injury in the knees, and I can identify that with that. You can't get off the ground very fast till you get that one leg under you, and you sort of jump around on that one leg, and you're standing up straight, and then you got the other leg and start walking. So you'll watch the track when they get trying to get off the ground, or they sit down and they try to get up, and their arthritis or whatever is in their leg. Well, they can't get up like a normal one would, just real quick and be gone. But these other ones, no, you sort of have, oh my, his knees hurt. You get up real slow, and then some of them the opposite knee or something's wrong with it. They sort of hop around a couple of times, and you can see the tracks where they hopped, on the ground, and they started walking. But not if they weren't real. Why are those like that?
Right. Patrick also asked, what do you call them in your native language?
You didn't say, big man.
It's a great question.
They didn't say.
Mr. Greg House asks, do you think that they are drawn to certain people?
They, like I said, they're drawn to human safety, the safety of humans. Like myself, I'm out there every day. They watch me, and I'm not a threat, so they sort of hang on there. Turkeys are the same way. They roost in my barn. As much as you don't want them to, but they're in there because you're not going to chase them. And they sort of like a bond, a trust that develops rather than, well, right now, prairie dogs are a problem. So how do you get rid of prairie dogs? They, a lot of people go out there to shoot these things down, and it's a free meal for anything. There's a lot of eagles because of that. There's eagles that fly in and crows that cry. Some people go out there, shoot a dozen prairie dogs above ground. They're laying there, and they leave, and these things come flying in, and they're out there, pulling each other's feathers out.
All right, we're at the end tonight, everybody. This is gonna be the last question for the night, and then we're gonna let Hoyt get on his way. What is the one story that outsiders should never ask about, but must understand to truly respect the Jicarilla Apache land?
Well, one of the major things is don't come here by yourself.
There you go.
Find somebody that can bring you in, take you to do what you want to do, and you're on your way. Because this is federal jurisdiction, and you don't want to get a federal citation. A traffic citation for speeding is going to follow you for the rest of your life. So he's got a federal record. Yeah, well, it's a citation for 15 miles over the limit. It's still a federal citation. That means you'll have a federal record.
Mm-hmm.
To protect yourself, just abide by the rules. And go. And then I think you asked a question earlier, which is say we're going to have another gathering. I think it's going to be in August. We're going to try for August again. And keep trying for those different activities that we want to try.
Okay. Is that open to anybody that wants to come and visit, or is that just a few select?
Yes.
That's it for open to
Yes. It's open. We actually get your name down, and your name will be on the list. Game wardens that come in and they check it out, and they would see this long list of people, and you say, well, that one right there is me. You're okay.
All right.
Because we get their information and we put it up there. We put it right on the door of the house so everybody can come look at it.
All right. Well,
And then we got to get permission just to build a fire. So we got to do that too. Get permission to build a fire, and have EMS, emergency medical services, and law enforcement there, so that we can provide all the emergency services there.
coming, Hoyt. Hold on a second. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm coming. Sorry about that. I got something going on with my eye, and I just got like sharp pain in my eye. I've had 4 detached retinas, and ever since it hurts. But anyways, that's why I had to close the screen for a second while I grimaced in agony. All right. Well, I want to say thank you so much for being here. It was a great show. Oh my God. Hold on. I gotta stand up. Oh my God. Can you guys still see me? I'm sorry about this. I didn't want to end the show like this, but the only thing I can do is stand up to get the blood off from my eye. Here we go. All right, there I am.
Yeah, good shot.
All right.
Good shot of JB to clear that up.
Oh my gosh. So weird. Let's see if I can get back down. Sorry about this, everybody. Something I got to do. But anyways, I want to say thank you so much for coming out and being part of the show tonight. Sorry, everybody, for that. And if you wait backstage for a little bit, I'll be right back and say goodnight. And again, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Well,
Mr. Hoyt Valarde. Sorry about that, everybody. My eye went there. It was kind of hurting there. So I am off next week. I am on call for work. The week after, our guest will be Mr. Jeremiah Byron from Bigfoot Society. I'm looking forward to talking to Jeremiah. We got some things in common. So yeah, what a great guest tonight. I just want to thank you all for being here. Sorry about the end of the show here. It kind of hurt. Yeah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you. Be up, bud. Thank you. And let me get over to here. And as always, you know what Larry says, everybody. Get in the woods, people. See you in a couple weeks.